Hey, welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
Dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Hey there, and welcome to episode 7 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope you're having an awesome Thursday. If it's not Thursday and you're listening to this a little bit later, just a heads up that I release a new episode every Thursday. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of those. Today's episode is all about Instagram stories, and I have to say I'm absolutely in love with them at the moment. I'm really enjoying making them, playing with all the different features that you can use in them, and I'm really enjoying getting to know my audience a little bit better by the DMs, and I'm getting the direct messages I'm getting through the Instagram platform, and also loving having the audience get to know me a little bit better as well. But before we get into Instagram stories, first up, of course, we need to dig into this week's discovery. And seeing we're talking Instagram stories today, I thought it would be very fitting if this week's discovery was also something to do with Instagram stories. So I wanted to tell you about this fabulous little app I've had on my phone for a little while now. It's called Cut Story, CUTSTORY, Cut Story. And it's one of those little apps that I am just loving. Basically, you know how you can only have 15 seconds of video in your stories? I'm not talking live here. I'm talking like pre-recorded video that you would be uploading. And we all know how hard it would be to get our message out in 15 seconds. Like even myself who talks fast, it's pretty hard to get a message out there in 15 seconds. And the real pain to be cutting up a story manually but using some sort of program or something on our computers. So that's what this app's all about. It will automatically cut your video that you've uploaded, that you want to upload into Instagram. It will automatically cut it into 15-second lots. Just a side note, it will do different lengths. Like I know that Facebook is like 20 seconds and the WhatsApp is 30 seconds. So it will do lots of others. But specifically today, I just wanted to tell you how it will cut a video into 15 seconds. So if you've got a video that goes for a minute, you upload it into Cut Story and it'll slice it for you perfectly. It is just like one of those things that can make life really, really simple. And I absolutely love it. Just a bit of a pro tip though, and I tell you this out of a lesson that I learned. When you're uploading them, make sure you upload them once you've had them cut by Cut Story, make sure you upload them in order. So the last one will have to go first so that when they go through the story, it makes sense. And also make sure that the one that you have just uploaded is fully uploaded before you start uploading the next one, because sometimes you can actually find that your story is out of sync and out of order, which is no good for you and really no good for your audience either. So the app is free and can be downloaded wherever you normally download your ISO or your Android apps. There is, of course, a paid version as well as a free version. The free version does have the Cut Story logo on it, but look, it's pretty easy to disguise within your stories with a bit of a GIF or a couple of words or something like that. So I've only ever used the free version and it works perfectly fine for the amount of times that I need to use it. So my hope is that with this little tool in your Insta tool bag, that will get you to do some more video on social media, or more video on your Instagram stories, I should say, because, video is king, people, and I'm going to keep telling you that until I have convinced you all. Of course, just a little disclaimer, I don't have any affiliation with any of these discoveries that I talk to you about. I just use them and I love them myself. So I love recommending things that I love to use, and things, of course, that make my life simpler as a small business owner. So into Instagram stories, the good, the bad, and the sensational. Instagram is continuing to grow and is one of the most popular social media platforms across all ages, all locations, and all brands. It has a massive user base and boasts just one of the highest click engagement rates of all the other social media platforms. Their feature stories has been around for about 2.5 years now, and although it's been on Snapchat, my teenagers assure me that that's exactly where the idea come from. Snapchat stories were first, and then Insta got involved, and I'm pretty sure that those in Instagram headquarters are pretty chuffed that they did, because they are seriously one of the hottest social media things around at the moment, and really have been for a little while. Hot because they're getting so much engagement, and brands are really starting to be willing to invest in them. To start with, because it was totally new, like we're used to square photos and that sort of thing on Instagram, and now all of a sudden we had to do these long skinny things, and brands just weren't prepared to invest money and time that it would take to be doing all this new Instagram stories. But of course now they've realized that it's a great way to engage your customers and your audience and people who may one day do business with you. About 80% of daily active Instagram users are actually watching the stories, and they're checking stories more often than they're actually checking their feeds. So you've got to start investing in stories if you haven't already. If you haven't done a story before, I'm really hoping that this podcast might convince you otherwise, and show you just how easy it can be just to get started. Not war and peace. Let's just get started. So I'm going to give you 4 tips and tricks on how you could be using stories, not only how you could be using them, but how you can get your stories viewed more often and interacted with too. So my first little tip is actually, did you actually know that you could make a post a story and a story a post? Like, you can actually have the same thing and make it one or the other. So most people know, I think, that you can make a story a post, but not many people actually know that you can make a post a story. So it's pretty simple to make one of your in-feed posts one of your stories. You simply just go to the post that you want to make into a story, and down the bottom of every post, of course, there is the love heart, and there is like the little cloud for, like the speaking cloud, and then there's something that looks a little bit like a paper aeroplane. So what you do is you click that paper aeroplane, and it comes up with a bit of a menu, and part of the menu is, add to your story. You click that, and then you add some little GIFs or a poll or stickers that you want to make it more engaging as a story, and presto, you've got yourself your first story. If anyone taps that story, it actually comes up with a button that says see post and has an arrow, which sends them straight back to your post, which is just awesome. And of course, the vice versa to that is, how do you share a story to make it a post? So you just go to the story that you want to share, or go to the story that you want to turn into a post, and click the 3 little dots down on the right hand, the bottom of the right, and a little menu pops up and it says share as post. You'll need to adjust the picture a little bit, clearly, because you need to make it into the square format again, but all of that can be done just there and then. You don't need any extra apps or any extra work. You just use your fingers and just crop it the way you want it to make it into a post. And that's as easy peasy as that. So that's how you can make a story a post and a post a story. So there's 2 main reasons why I think you should use these features, or 2 main reasons, I should say. So stories are being seen before your in-feed, and therefore pointing them to your in-feed posts can help engagement on that post, especially if your post has a really cool call to action in it. And the other side of that is in-feed posts are all about your captions, your message, your story, as opposed to stories. And the message in the caption and your actual story is not really something you can get across in, a 15-second story. So again, it can help with redirecting traffic and just really helping your audience engage with you more and more. So guys, it literally takes a few seconds to make a story a post, and vice versa. So maybe spend a little bit extra time this week and have a bit of a play. Test to measure, see if the process works, see if you get more engagement than what you would have in your post if you'd never made it into a story, or vice versa, of course. And you know what? A little bit of a pro tip again, you can share other people's posts into your stories as well. So their in-feed posts, you can actually share them. So if someone's got a really cool quote or a really cool picture or something that, you know, you'd just like to share with your audience, you can actually share that too, again, just by pressing the little thing that looks like a paper aeroplane. The second thing I wanted to have a chat to you about was just how easy Instagram is making it for us to get engagement in our stories. It simply has never been easier. You know, there's all sorts of buttons with polls and GIFs and questions and the countdown and sliders. Of course, then there's the mentions that you can mention other people in your stories and hashtagging. So we can literally have people interact with us in seconds. Now, if you're driving or walking or running or you're in a bath, which is my favorite place to be when I'm listening to podcasts, and you're not sure what I'm talking about, then never fear. Just head over to the show notes, socialmediamarketing.com.au/7, and I've got all the screenshots there to help you. You know, for those visual people out there, shout out to you. I've got you covered. Just head to the show notes and you can see exactly what I'm saying with all the visuals that I've got for you, all the screenshots that I've done for you. So let's just take one of those. So let's say you put up a story and you use the question feature and you've asked your audience, you know, what's your favorite pasta? And then the audience member or the person viewing your story gets to write in there all pasta or fettuccine or whatever their favorite pasta is. And you actually get those responses. So you can view the answer and all the answers just by going to the particular story, and down the left-hand side, there's actually a box that says view responses, and you just click that and you can see what everyone's replied, and from there you can start a conversation by DMing them and really just start interacting with this person who's interacting with you. It's just so simple. If the whole entire purpose of being on social media is to spark engagement and start interacting with people who one day might do business with you, then stories just make it just that wee bit easier for us all. Of course, what you use and how you use it will have to be part of your strategy. You really do need to be strategic, and please don't use these things as clickbait. And what I mean by clickbait is getting people to click and react so that then you can do the sales pitch to them. This is all about engagement, guys, not necessarily selling just yet. So with stories and all social interactions, remember the rule of the 3 E's: entertain, engage with value, or educate. You should be doing one of these 3 things every time you're on social media. And really, if you're not doing one of these 3 things, then you seriously need to ask yourself, for what purpose are you doing it then? So perhaps, start jazzing up your stories, getting really strategic and using the tools that Instagram gives us. I know not all accounts have these features. I have one that doesn't have them, and I really don't know what the magic bullet is here, guys. I can't figure out why all my other accounts have this particular feature and one of them doesn't, or not features, and one of them doesn't. I'm really frustrated. Anyone who has a solution to this problem, please DM me so I can share your magic. So the third thing I wanted to have a chat to you about was, did you actually know you could promote a story? I guess it's a bit like boosting a post in Facebook. I think this feature is pretty cool. I'm assuming it will only work if you have a business account, not a personal one. So by that I mean that your Instagram account is business, not personal. And really, it's just pretty simple. If you go to your story that you'd like to promote and click the 3 circles in the right hand corner and pick promote off the list and just follow the bouncing ball. You can choose where you'd like to send the person who will be interacting, whether you want to send them to a URL or whether you want to send them to direct message or to your profile. Totally up to you. Again, I'm making the assumption that you will need Facebook ads set up. So just like boosting posts on Facebook, I really do think they do have their place and they do have their time and their purpose, and you just need to be really strategic about them. A lot of money can get chewed through pretty quickly when it comes to paying for ads on social platforms. So you really just have to be sure of what you want, what sort of return on investment you're after, and that you're always testing and measuring and reviewing what you're doing, especially with paid ads. So my fourth and final tip for today for Instagram stories is go live, guys. As Nike says, just do it. You head back to last week's episode with Jemima Ashley, who's the positioning expert, and hear why live is so important to building your brand on social media, so important for building your expertise in whatever space it is that you live. You can go live on Instagram stories for, I believe, up to an hour, and I'm pretty sure that's the same on Facebook as well. Being live on stories means that it's only up for 24 hours. I've seen people go live with, things like Ask Me Anything. I think that's really an amazing strategy. And I've just seen them, they just sit there and wait for people to come in and ask them questions. It starts off a little bit scary, to be honest, but always ends up with really awesome content. I've also seen people go live on Instagram and Facebook at the same time. And I think that takes a lot of skill. I've never attempted it myself, but as far as I can work out, I think they have multiple devices and definitely someone helping them monitor it all. So before I wrap up on this podcast on Instagram stories, I just wanted to share with you a few little stats. Stat number 1, 40% of Instagram stories are video. Stat number 2, 60% of Instagram story video posts are played with the sound on. Stat 3, 1 in 5 Instagram stories results in a direct message. Stat 4, 1 out of 3 of the most viewed Instagram stories are from businesses. Stat 5, but only about half of the businesses on Instagram create stories in a typical month. And the last stat number 6, Instagram stories are growing faster than the feed. And seriously, they are the fastest growing product in the Facebook world at the moment. So my friends, I could literally talk about Instagram stories all day. I'm having so much fun with them, and I really hope that you will start having some fun with them too, and really start seeing some financial benefits of putting some time and energy into them. They are fabulous for behind the scenes posts. People love seeing behind the scenes of all sorts of businesses, and because they only last 24 hours, many brands are really quite happy to share their behind the scenes stories with their audiences. And if you want to become like the king or queen of Instagram stories, then I seriously suggest you invest some time watching YouTube. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. There are some awesome Instagram story guns out there who have tips and tricks that will absolutely blow your mind. So head over to YouTube and just Google Instagram stories and take some time to watch some videos and get some great tips and tricks. They say, what's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the next best time? That's today. So if you haven't been giving Instagram stories any love, start today. There's great websites like canva.com and capwing.com, so kapwing.com, and they have awesome templates for Instagram stories. But if you really want to make them yourself, that's fine. I've got some dimensions in my show notes. So just head over there to socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/7 for this episode. I hope I've inspired you to give them a go for the first time or to get more strategic when you're using them from here on in. And you know what? If you do, give me a tag in your story. Small Business Made Simple is my tag. I'd love to see them, and I'd also love to cheer you on. Just before I wrap up this episode, remember that the show notes are at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/7 if you are a visual person and want to see all the screenshots of what I've been talking about today. If you haven't signed up for my 5-day social media challenge, I'd love to challenge you on my challenge. I'd love to help you get your social media in order, get it on brand, and start showcasing your expertise. To join the challenge, go to socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/challenge. So that's it for episode 7 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Thank you so much for your ears for the last little bit. I'll be back next Thursday with some more marketing know-how and another great discovery. Again, as I always say, if you're liking this podcast, please head over and leave a rating and a review. Those things are like gold for podcasters like me, and I will be eternally grateful. And it also helps others find this podcast and enjoy all these tips and tricks too. It could be the best gift that you give someone else. Otherwise, let's catch up between podcasts and let's get social on social. All the links are in my show notes and on my website. If you've got any comments or questions, please feel free to drop into my Instagram DM. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Otherwise, I'll catch you next week. I'd love to challenge you on my challenge. Otherwise, my small business peeps, remember, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
If you feel lonely, say it loud. There's no time like the present. Tell